lapse in judgment. We begin with the Titanic, the unsinkable marvel of 1912. But luxury met reality through a series of systematic human failures. Wireless operators ignored 6 iceberg warnings to prioritize passenger messages. The captain maintained full speed in hazardous conditions, a fatal display of overconfidence. When steel met ice, the ship was doomed. But the true tragedy was the lack of lifeboats. 1,500 souls were lost to the deep, leaving a haunting lesson in pride and unpreparedness. The Hindenburg, 1937, Germany's pride and the pinnacle of luxury air travel. The fatal flaw was built in, using highly flammable hydrogen instead of stable helium. A tiny static spark during a storm triggered the most iconic disaster in aviation history. It took only 34 seconds for the Silver Giant to vanish into a raging fireball. The famous cry, "Oh, the humanity," echoed the horror of a watching world. 36 lives were lost, and the entire future of the airship industry was incinerated forever. January 1986. Millions of school children watched as the Challenger lifted off. Engineers begged NASA to delay. They knew the O-ring seals would fail in the freezing cold, but political pressure and schedule demands silenced the voices of technical reason. 73 seconds into flight, the sky over Florida erupted in a horrific display of fire. A $12 billion spacecraft and 7 heroic lives vanished in an instant. A chilling reminder of what happens when safety is sacrificed for bureaucracy. The Exxon Valdez, a giant of the seas that stumbled in the pristine waters of Alaska. An intoxicated captain and a fatigued crew ran the vessel straight into Bligh Reef. 11 million gallons of crude oil gushed out, suffocating the coastline in darkness. Thousands of sea creatures perished. An entire ecosystem was devastated beyond repair. Cleanup costs exceeded $10 billion, but the ecological scars remained decades later. A staggering proof that one individual's lapse in sobriety can ruin an entire wilderness. 2010, the Gulf of Mexico. The largest marine oil spill in history was about to begin. A defective cement job and a failed blowout preventer led to a systemic nightmare. Methane gas erupted, turning the world's most advanced rig into a towering inferno. For 87 straight days, oil spewed uncontrollably from a mile beneath the surface. BP paid over $70 billion. This was a failure to prioritize safety over profit. Negligence in maintenance created an environmental catastrophe of immeasurable scale. In Bhopal, India, a pesticide plant leaked 40 tons of deadly methyl isocyanate gas. In the dead of night, the ghost-like cloud drifted into the homes of sleeping families. Safety systems had been switched off just to save a few dollars in maintenance costs. 3,000 died instantly. Hundreds of thousands more suffered lifelong, agonizing injuries. It remains the world's worst industrial disaster, a dark stain of corporate greed. The price of human life was calculated as less than the cost of a routine repair. The Bankyo Dam was called the Iron Dam, built to survive a 1,000-year flood. But Typhoon Nina brought rainfall that doubled the dam's maximum design capacity. By the time the order to open floodgates came, it was too late. The wall disintegrated. A 6-mile-wide wall of water swept away everything, claiming an estimated 230,000 lives. Communication failures during the storm turned a protective shield into a weapon of mass destruction. A grim lesson that our engineering is only as strong as our ability to communicate.
It's unstable. Shut it down!
Chernobyl, a name that has become synonymous with global nuclear catastrophe. A flawed safety test blew the roof off Reactor 4, creating a radioactive hellscape. That eerie blue Cherenkov beam released a radioactive plume across all of Europe. The economic toll exceeded $250 billion, but the human cost was incalculable. Pripyat is now a ghost town, where nature slowly reclaims the ruins of human hubris. This radioactive scar will remain uninhabitable for at least the next 20,000 years. The Aral Sea, perhaps the most calculated environmental blunder in human history. Soviet engineers diverted rivers to grow cotton, draining the world's 4th largest lake. Now, massive fishing vessels sit stranded in a salt desert filled with toxic dust. A thriving industry vanished, replaced by sickness and a landscape of pure desolation. The most expensive mistake per second. Piper Alpha, a tiny error during a shift change. A missing safety valve led to a massive gas leak and a chain reaction of explosions. 167 men perished as the billion-dollar rig melted into the sea like a candle. History doesn't repeat itself, but it leaves warnings. Are we wise enough to listen?